This week on Quality Digest Live, does SMED have applications beyond the shop floor?
Plus, great customer experiences are driven by great employee experiences. We'll find out why when we come back.
Welcome back to Quality Digest Live for January 10th, 2014. QDL is your weekly look at who and what is making the news in the world of quality. I'm Mike Richmond, publisher of Quality Digest.
And I'm Dirk Ducharme, Editor-in-Chief of Quality Digest. The Coordinate Metrology Society, many of you know that we work quite closely with them. They're also called the CMS. They have a show they do every year called the CMSC. Well, the CMS has announced the results of its fourth large-scale measurement study performed at the 29th Annual Coordinate Metrology Systems Conference, the CMSC, as I said, held in San Diego last year. The study was developed to support the CMS Level 2 certification examination development process, which will culminate in the industry's first instrumentation-based certification program for portable 3D metrology. So to put that another way, is simply a certification that lets people know that you actually do know how to measure properly using portable 3D equipment. The study's main focus this year was to evaluate how decisions made during and after 3D measurement using portable equipment will affect the final measurement result. So, during a 2-day period, CMSC conference attendees participated in the data collection portion of the measurement study. And the study's objective was to involve the CMSC community in the practical methodology required to support certified operators and programmers. So, 4 measurement stations allowed participants to carry out practical tasks using a portable articulating arm and a scanning system. 6 analysis stations were then used to observe the decisions made while interpreting data and to examine how those choices made by the operators can influence measurement results. The exercise provided a hands-on challenge for participants regardless of their expertise with scanning systems or their knowledge of metrology. A workshop was then held on the 3rd day of the conference to review the results and to learn about future measurement studies for CMSC. Now, they've been doing this, I believe we just said there, for 4 years.
4 years, yep.
And the thing that really comes out of this, and the reason they've been doing it, is because they have discovered through these studies that a lot of people who even think they know what they're doing with portable 3D measurement equipment actually don't, and that there's a lot of variability in the results from operator to operator, as well as a lot of variability within a single operator. So this really pointed out the need for proper training and certification.
And standardization. I mean, really, this is
right.
what they're really getting at, is this idea that if you're going to have a certification, you need to have a standardized body of knowledge that you can replicate and you can share with people and train them how to do it. So that the reason for this, obviously, is that people within organizations within this industry want to make sure the people that they bring in who are certified have a baseline level of knowledge, and they can be pretty sure they can plug people in and that they can measure properly right away.
Exactly, and that's the whole goal of what the CMSC is trying to do is with the certification is just what Mike said, is to make sure that everybody's on the same page, they have the same skill set, and that you can rely on somebody who is certified. So the 50-page report titled Non-Contact Scanning, How Data Are Affected by the Decisions We Make, the details and the results of that analysis of the measurement study, the report is now available for members of the CMS. Just go to www.cmsc.org.
Yep, go out there and check that out. Good, a lot of good information in that study. And,
yeah, it's a fascinating study. You think you know what you're doing, bad, maybe you don't.
Yeah, 50 pages, 50 action-packed pages. So make sure you check that out on cmsc.org. Okay, all right. Also in the news this week, it appears that a corporate focus on social responsibility can sometimes lead to greater social irresponsibility down the road. Those are the rather surprising findings of a recently released report, Licensed to Ill, the Effects of Corporate Social Responsibility and CEO Moral Identity on Corporate Social Irresponsibility, which appeared in the winter 2013 issue of Personnel Psychology Journal, and ThomasNet, which is where we got it. It ran on ThomasNet, and then we picked it up and ran it in QDD. Margaret Ormiston, an assistant professor at the London Business School, and Elaine Wong, assistant professor of management at the University of California, Riverside, co-authored the study. Now, evidence of corporate social responsibility, or CSR as it's known, is increasingly in the news as many organizations seek to publicize their good works. there are tangible benefits to these actions, not the least of which is as a means of differentiation in a crowded market, serving customers who themselves often have a growing social consciousness. It's important to remember because what we're talking about here is why you do CSR. CSR is done many times for marketing reasons. You're trying to promote your good citizenship, your good stewardship to an audience, to consumers who care about that stuff. So a big part of this is trumpeting that, and we're going to get to why that affects corporate irresponsibility here in a second. Now, the flip side of that is to CSR, of course, is CSIR, or corporate social irresponsibility. Whereas organizations can earn CSR brownie points for things like reducing their carbon footprint and or helping ensure fair wages for workers at their suppliers, they can easily stray over to the CSIR dark side when dealing with events such as oil spills, safety accidents, or product recalls. The tendency to obfuscate the facts or run away from responsibility for these incidents is really what CSIR is all about.
Sure.
You're not intentionally doing bad things, but sometimes bad things happen, and whether you take responsibility for it and stand up or not defines whether maybe you're going to be corporately, socially irresponsible or not. So, in fact, according to research done by Ormiston and Wong, corporations commit 1 act of social irresponsibility for every 5 acts of CSR, corporate social responsibility.
Well, that's a good,
it's not a bad ratio, but you wonder why it happens at all, and the tendency is towards more social irresponsibility for companies that have done good evidence, have evidence of CSR. And I'll tell you why that happens. Apparently why it happens. Top managers of major corporations pour energy into socially responsible acts, and because, at least in part, the impetus for such actions comes from reason involving marketing positioning. Like I said before, they're doing that because they want to trumpet that fact to their audience, to their consumers, that they're socially responsible. So they put that out there possibly to their audience in a loud way, and then those managers maybe feel that they've established a karmic bank of goodwill, right? They may unintentionally or intentionally, who knows, let some other stuff slide later on because of that. It's kind of analogous to you or me. I mean, I know I've done this. You diet for weeks or months before the holidays, before Thanksgiving and before Christmas, because you know you're going to go nuts, and you say, well, I'm going to diet for a while, and then I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to have turkey and pie and cake and stuffing and potatoes and beer.
Well, and I think that's what the authors were saying is this is pretty much a human thing.
It's a human thing.
Yeah.
It's a human thing, and it's understandable. But when it comes to social responsibility, that may not really be okay, because it doesn't give you permission. I mean, just because you are a socially responsible company and you say, well, I've established myself as a socially responsible company, I've done what we wanted to do, the consumers now know that we're a good steward, a good CSR company. Because of that, you can't then necessarily say, well, nobody's going to care about whether or not we own up to this recall or this oil spill or whatever, because we've done all this good work over here.
Yeah, they'll kind of gloss over that.
It doesn't balance out, though. It really doesn't balance out. And I think that the moral of the story is that you almost want to watch the ones that trumpet their corporate responsibility even closer, because they may have a tendency, no names named here, they may have a tendency to want to maybe stray to the dark side a little bit more on the CSIR once they've established themselves as a company that is well known for CSR. So keep an eye on that, and also keep an eye on all the rest of the stories that Dirk and I are going to be covering on today's show. All of the story links are right below the video player screen, right down there.
And by the way, if you got any comments you want to send to us during the show, just send them to qdl@qualitydigest.com, and if you get them in quick enough, we'll get them onto the show.
Well, if you get me quick enough, and if Dirk's able to keep his mic, or keep your comm set in your ear.
In my ear, yeah.
It falls out of your ear for some reason because you have these big fat ears.
Yeah.
I don't know what happens with that.
It goes with my big fat head. All right.
Send it to qdl@qualitydigest.com. We'll get him on the air.
All right. A lot of you are probably familiar with SMED, or single minute exchange of dies. As I said, SMED as it's commonly known, and is defined as the time that elapses between when the last good piece of product comes off the line and the first good piece of product starts. SMED is probably one of the most important lean manufacturing tools, if not the most important, for enabling just-in-time production. So we typically think of SMED as applied to manufacturing. But in an article by Gurur Sridhar, SMED, the article is SMED, it's not just for manufacturing. Sridhar leads us on a thought experiment to applying SMED to something other than manufacturing. In this case, it's human resources, and specifically dealing with a new hire. It's kind of interesting.
It's interesting.
He makes the case that the 7 steps of setup reduction used by SMED could, with a little inventive thinking, reduce the lead time, setup time, whatever you want to call it, of getting a new hire up to speed and productive in his or her new job. So let's just step through this real quick. I thought it was pretty interesting. These are kind of how he would interpret some of the 7 steps of SMED in human resources. So the first step is to separate internal and external activities. So in this case, he's talking, maybe you have a particular skill set that you need a new trainee, a new employee to have, say training one of them on a new CAD package. Mm-hmm. Well, this could be deemed an external activity because the new hire could be asked to acquire the skill during his notice period from his previous employer and to the time he gets hired. And doing that would reduce the resources lead time because that would otherwise have been an internal activity. So basically, you're telling him, this is some training you need to do in this period of time between you give notice and when you start working for us. Now, step 2 of SMED is to standardize external activities. Now, the HR department could standardize step 1 by sending the candidate a checklist of the skills to be acquired along with the offer letter. Step 3, convert internal activities to external. Step 4, improve internal setup activities. So you could look at the activities that might be done simultaneously before the new hire is put on the job. So you might consider preparing all the necessary paperwork, or maybe getting their workplace, a workbench, tools, and so forth. All of that could be handled in this interim period while you're waiting for the employee to actually show up at your doorstep. Step 5, improve external activities. So rather than leaving it up to the recruit as to how to gain the skills mentioned in step 1, you can send him to, let's say, an authorized training center so that you get consistency in the skills. And step 6, mechanization of activities. In this step, if needed, you could maybe administer a test to check that the new employee's required skill level would become a baseline for further training. And step 7 might be to just completely eliminate this step altogether. Mm-hmm. So his whole point was that, if you're a little inventive at how you apply, or you look at some of these tools, in this case he's looking at the SMED tools, but Garor has looked at other applications, what we think typically of industrial applications, a design of experience, for instance. He likes to take these ideas and say, well, can we apply them in kind of a non-traditional setting, so human resources or something like that. And sometimes with a little inventive thinking. I think in some cases here he may have stretched the point a little bit, but it was still an interesting thought exercise. It really does make you kind of stand back and go, well, yeah, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah, and I mean, basically what he's trying to do here is he's trying to take tried and true, well-established protocols that that we pretty sure work, and applying them to other parts of the operation, other parts of the enterprise, and it really makes sense. I mean, there's been some pushback on this type of thing. I mean, there are folks in our readership and in our contributor base that will say, well, manufacturing tools for manufacturing, right? Service and transactional tools for service and transactional environments. But I think that we've often said, so you got to use what works, right? I mean, you have to. The ultimate goal here is to improve your organization. And I mean, you look at SMED, you look at single minute exchange of dies, you look at the idea of changeover. You look at the idea of transition. You look at the idea of flow and improvement, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, you want to take those protocols and bring them into a service or a transactional environment. It just makes sense. I mean, and I think Garor looks at this, as he has in the past, with a fresh eye, and that's great. I think it makes us all think about that a little bit and understand that there's applications for these protocols in different ways. It's pretty cool, I think.
It was good.
Yeah, I like that. And I expect that we'll probably see more from Garor, hopefully, and looking at different tools.
He's always got an angle.
Going forward. And again, check that out. The story is right below the player page of this video player. You can check that out and click over and read it and comment. Comment on the stories that you see on Quality Digest as well. We always like to hear from our audience. Okay. Another really good article this week, and from another one of our relatively early new contributors, is What Trumps a Great Customer Experience by Annette Franz Glenecki, and that appeared in Monday's issue of Quality Digest Daily. And Annette, there it is, What Trumps a Great Customer Experience, Annette Franz Glenecki. Yeah, ran on Monday in QDD. You know, Annette is one of our newer contributors, and you know, she's quickly become one of my favorites because what Annette does is she talks about customer experiences. She talks about customer experiences, and she talks about it as the keystone, the wellspring of great organizational quality. She gets the concept that those two things go hand in glove. I mean, you know, you can't be a great quality organization if you're not serving your customers in a really great way, in a world-class way. She also understands that you can't fake engagement and enthusiasm amongst your employees. That's what this article is about. It makes sense. Employees who are truly excited about what they do will naturally provide great customer service because they're enthusiastic about the company and they understand that they're the first line. You know, when they interact with customers, they have an opportunity to really impress upon those customers how great their company is at doing what they do and why they're enthusiastic about what they're doing. Ultimately, of course, that's going to lead to better customer retention and more sales and profits. Now, it makes sense, but that's kind of a common sense approach. And is it provable? That's what we always say. Where's the data, right? It turns out that, as Annette points out in this piece, there is a lot of data to back that up. If you read the piece, you're going to find links out to several studies from respected names such as Gallup, Forrester Research, and the Harvard Business Review, to name just a couple, that directly link, now this is a very direct link here, between employee engagement and better sales and profits for the companies that those employees work for. So how does that work? Well, again, engaged employees are those who get turned on by their work. They're challenged, they're encouraged to create, to learn, to grow, and they feel their voice is heard by management. And on the flip side, disengaged employees often feel stunted, discouraged, and they aren't allowed to question the status quo. They many times feel ignored by management. So what does that do? I mean, that's going to naturally, and you can't buy your way out of this. Naturally, if you have that kind of an environment where people aren't encouraged to think and grow and be aggressive in terms of making their job the best it can be, no matter how much you pay them, how much you compensate them, they're not going to be great engaged employees. And great engaged employees are the ones that really are able to do customer service in the right way and really are able to give customers that proper experience. You can't fake it. You can't buy your way to it. It's got to be organic. It's got to be real, and it comes from the culture of the organization. Engaged employees want their organizations to succeed. Right? I mean, that just is the nature of the beast because you've embedded them into the success of the organization, because you've heard them, because you've made them be bought in, be basically entrepreneurs in the organization. They're going to want the organization to succeed. So they go out of their way to offer the best service that they can to their customers. Plus, engaged employees often stay at the companies for longer. So you have the double hit of people that are now much more experienced at their jobs rather than a lot of turnover, and they're able to then use that experience, again, for what? For the betterment of the customer, serve the customer better. Great organizations like Best Buy, Ritz-Carlton, Starbucks are all mentioned. Many are mentioned in this article by Annette. They understand that, and those organizations, you can tell. I mean, when you go there as a customer, you can tell that the employees that serve you, that interact with you, understand the importance of customer touch points. They understand that they're going to be bright and attentive, and they're going to kind of try to anticipate what you want, delight you where they can. That's so much different than just going into a burger joint where nobody cares because they're making $8 an hour and they're not engaged. They don't do anything other than just serve, so they don't care. Right. They don't give you any great benefit.
There's another side to that, and I don't think you touched on this. I mean, sure, it makes engaged employees make for happier customers. Sure. I think you made that connection, but also engaged employees help the bottom line because engaged employees are more likely to stay. You have less turnover, less training, less, matter of fact, even less sick time. It's also been shown that engaged employees are sick less often. So basically a happy employee is going to hang around, and in the long run it's going to cost you less than constantly having this churn of employees that you're constantly training and so forth. So.
Yeah, it's great, and I think that it just makes for a better environment all around. I want to close with a quote, and we can show it I think on the screen because I think we pulled it out of the article that Annette quotes here, and it's actually a quote from Zig Ziglar. Who's Zig Ziglar is a well-known management guru, and Zig Ziglar writes, quoted again in this article, "You don't build a business, you build people. and then people build the business. That makes a lot of sense, sure. I mean, you give people the opportunity to do their best work. And if you give people the opportunity to do their best work and they're facing customers, those customers are naturally going to have a great opinion of your company. Right. And it is going to, without a doubt, reflect in the sales and profitability, I think, of your company going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great stuff, Bernadette. Keep a look at it.
She's fun to read.
Yeah, she's fun to read. Really good author. So I'm hoping that we have a chance to do more with Annette, and I think we will going forward. Okay, great. All right. Well, we're going to move on now. We have a really good tech corner, Dirk. You're going to be doing for us here in a minute here. It is from ShapeifIMe and Artec. ShapeifIMe is the product. Artec is the company that does this. And Dirk, I'm going to throw it to you because this is pretty cool the way this works. So check it out. Dirk, let us know all about it.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. Yeah, we've covered in our online magazine, we've covered Artec 3D scanning. Artec 3D scanning, they make high-end portable scanners, costing thousands of dollars and that sort of thing. Really, high-end products, which you would expect from an industrial company. But they came up with this idea that we were really tickled by and wanted to kind of demonstrate what they're doing, and we'll talk about this in a little bit, why I think it's important. Some of you may recognize this. This is called a Kinect. This is an older Kinect. This goes with your Xbox 360. For some of you who have gamers in your household, you may recognize this. These are typically used for controlling your Xbox or controlling your computer using gestures, right? It has cameras in it. It can recognize what you're doing. That controls the software. What a lot of people don't realize is that this is actually also a kind of a low-resolution optical 3D scanner. And Artec is making use of that, and they created a site called ShapeifIMe, which basically what it allows you to do is scan yourself with your Kinect, and basically it is set up for scanning your body. Upload that to ShapeifIMe, and they will send you in about a week a little 3D, I'll show you close up here in a little bit, they send you a little 3D figurine that has been 3D printed. Okay, so how does this work? We'll just run through a little bit right here. We've got a little video we can show you, and I'll kind of step you through the process. If we can scroll that. All right, pop that video up there. There we go. So basically, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to set up your Kinect. Now, we did it on a tripod. You could set it on a desktop. Basically, what you want is to set this up about waist high. It connects into your computer via the USB. That's how the Kinect connects. And then you start the program. Superimposed on the Kinect's image that shows up on the screen are some little green footprints. So you just stand in those footprints. That puts you the right distance from the Kinect. And then it will start to scan. It will give you instructions over your computer's loudspeaker, and it will tell you what to do. And basically all it's going to do is take a scan, tell you to rotate 45 degrees, take another scan, rotate 45 degrees, and so forth until you've rotated an entire 360 degrees in front of the Kinect. The whole scanning process takes, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 minutes. Then it combines the scans. So it's taken all these scans, it's taken 8 scans, it combines them, builds a 3D image out of it, and then once you have that 3D image, if we go to our screen capture here, you'll get this on your screen, and what you can do, if we go over to that, our external view there we go. Nope. There we go. Once you have that scan, you can rotate it, you can look at it, and you can decide, if you leave it alone a little bit, it'll render it in color. And you would just look at that scan and make sure that your scan is what you expect, that there's no missing pieces or anything like that. If you're happy with it, you're on the Shapeify site, you simply upload this to shapeify.me, pay $60, and in about a week, they will ship you one of these. If we can come down here to the gauge cam, we've got a couple that we did. So let me show you. This is one we did of me. So this did of me. See? All right. Yeah. Looks kind of like me. That's similar. Yeah. All right. Except I think the model's a little bit better looking. And if we get in, you can see there's a fair amount of detail. Now it's not super high res. That's a function of the scanner itself. This is the Kinect scanner only costs $80, so you wouldn't expect something super high res. But it's actually enough. Here's another one. This is a scan of Christopher Martin. He's one of our salespeople. Notice that it actually picked up the checks in his sweater, and you can see it picks up all the folds in his clothing. and so forth. And you know, this is easily recognizable. Anybody who would walk in and see this, oh, there's Christopher, there's Dirk. So these are very easily recognizable. Like it's kind of low res, but you know what? For $60, it's really a fascinating use of technology. The reason we think this is important is here you've got what never was marketed as a scanner. This was not marketed. The Kinect was not marketed as a 3D scanner. It was marketed as a game controller, essentially. It just happens to be a 3D scanner. And you've got 3D printers. By the way, these were printed on a 3D Systems printer. So Artec uses a 3D Systems printer to print these out. The printer is capable of much higher resolution. As I said, the resolution is kind of limited by the Kinect. But even 3D printers are coming down in price. Much better scanners are also coming down in price. Matter of fact, I just mentioned 3D Systems. 3D Systems just released a $400 kind of consumer-oriented camera that they announced at, I believe it was at the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, a $400 camera, 3D scanner. So think of this, you got a $400 3D scanner, you got 3D printers that are approaching the $1,000 mark, and I guarantee you at Christmas, you're going to see both scanners and printers both at $500 or $500 or less. When you get this kind of technology getting mass-produced, for the consumer market, you will see a huge growth of this in the industrial market as well, because kind of all the money that gets infused to this through a mass consumer market helps drive the R&D to roll these products out and make them better, faster, and so forth. This is really driving mass customization. And mass customization is really going to affect you quality professionals. I guarantee you. Mass customization means customers are no longer satisfied with buying a mass-produced product that's supposed to fit everybody. They're going to be insisting that products be made specifically for them, and 3D scanning, 3D printing technology allows them to do that. You're going to see, in terms of customer satisfaction, customer expectations, I believe that 3D printing, 3D scanning is going to be a real game changer for people in the quality profession. So again, this was the Artec 3D scanning and their site ShapeifIMe, which uses a Kinect and some software on your computer, and $60, and you can get yourself a little mini-me. You can make yourself a little chess set or just little dolls that can play with each other. Hey, Christopher, how's it going, man? All right. Okay, Mike, back to you.
All right, great stuff there. Thanks to our guests. That's the Artec group, Artec 3D scanners. ShapeifIMe, ShapeifI.me is the product, the site, and you know, Dirk, that's pretty fun right there. You didn't do me, I notice. You didn't have a picture of me on there, a little. I don't think I'd want a little movie, but you know, it is pretty cool. I think you hit the nail on the head. This idea of mass customization is a huge wave. That's already here. It's already happening, but it's going to be something that I think all of us are going to need to be much more aware of in the years to come.
Exactly. Technology. I mean, we're going to be talking about this with the ASQ here pretty soon,
sure.
But technology really is driving what's going to be happening within the quality profession. I mean, quality management, all that is going to be around, but in terms of what is going to be changing customer expectations and what customers expect you to be doing in product development or even in service is going to be driven largely by hardware and software, and that stuff is ramping up incredibly fast.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on it through 2014 in the future as well.
That's right.
Well, that's our show for today, but thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Dirk, for being here, as always. Thank you to Artec for giving us that great tech corner and all of our contributors this week. We will see you next week for another great week of QDD.
That's right.
And QDL here next Friday. And that's it.
Do we have a tweet of the week? Did we take that out?
I think we did.
Oh, did we take? Oh, darn it. Okay. All right.
But you know, we'll do a tweet of the week.
We'll do a tweet of the week next week.
We
all
promise.
Right. We always get funny ones.
We'll bring that to you. Okay. But that's it for this week. So thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next week. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you then.
That's right. So long.
Bye.
Metrology.